I see a lot of like the TikTok artists and stuff using these too. Not that I like follow TikTok and all that, but like I'll see once in a while on Instagram Reels or whatever, the people who do like those like, if you just broke up with somebody, this song's for you, and then they start singing into a mic.
Yeah.
I see a lot of them using these mics.
Yeah, like the Sure Awesome 7B, I think, is what they did Thriller on. Like Michael Jackson's Thriller.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been told. So if that's bullshit, I apologize. But I'm pretty sure, like, if it's good enough for Michael Jackson, it's good enough for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. And to be honest with you, like, for it being such a nice mic, it's not that much money.
No, $300. Yeah. Like, you'll see this in every studio wherever you go. Just because it's such a great mic.
Sweet.
And compared to, like, other, like, condenser mics, they sound tingy, where this is, like, a dynamic microphone. And it just sounds really flat, so you can do a lot with it after you record. And that's why a lot of people like it. And you can use it for like literally everything. You can use it for vocals, guitar, drums, whatever you want to do.
Damn.
And it just sounds good. Like, just sounds great. So.
I like how it makes my voice sound a little bit more manly than it is in real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the greatest part for me. But okay, so what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Counter Culture Podcast. This is my buddy Steven Pitzl.
How's it going?
Good. How long have we known each other for? Years.
At least 10 years.
Yeah, at least 10 years for sure.
Well, like, I think the first time I ever like knew who you were was from Tony's band, or you and Tony had a band.
Yeah.
Because I would talk with Tony.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Just for tonight.
Yes.
Didn't you have a band with Tony?
No, but like all the guys in my band, Mechanical Kids, did like right before.
Oh, with Hours Waiting, right?
Yep.
That's
So
right.
Tom, and like the first show I ever played, Tony was screaming.
Really?
Yeah. So
Nice.
the first time I ever saw like Tom Carrillo and Tony and Fergie and Mike Severson, like, and Jack, like that was the first show I ever played. And
that's crazy.
Yeah, my introduction to the scene was pretty much that.
Okay.
So.
What fuck, dude. I don't want to mess this up, because I actually did listen to your band before. The band that you were in a pop punk band. What was it called again?
Saved by Stereo.
Yeah, dude. You guys had, I'm not lying, and I'm not just saying this to gas you up. You guys actually had like really good music.
Oh, that means a lot, man. Thanks.
Yeah. I remember listening to you guys, and I thought that you guys had been like a signed band already.
Oh no. We actually we wrote all those songs and did that first album when we were 15, 16. Out here, actually, in Hubertus with a guy named Joel Wanasek.
Okay.
And Joel is the reason why those songs sound so good.
What was his studio name? He did it out of his house, right? Yeah, JTW Studios.
Yeah, for the longest time, he was just in his parents' basement. Like, he quit his job and just believed in himself and bought a bunch of gear and just went to work.
That's sick.
And he recorded like a ton of metal bands, but he did record a few pop punk bands, and we heard one of them, and we were like, wow, I didn't even know he did this. These sound dope.
Yeah.
Let's try him out. And then, Joel pretty much taught me and all those guys, and two of which now are full-time, and I was for a long time too, like how to record, how to produce, and like basically studio, like how to come to the studio prepared. So I owe a lot to Joel. Yeah. And nothing but nice things to say about him. But yeah, that first band, we recorded that first album when we were like 16.
That's crazy.
A bunch of teens.
Wow, dude.
Yeah.
And music was so different back then too. Crazy.
Yeah. It was this Warped Tour scene.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
And then
I still think it's cool.
It's dope. It's dope as hell. Yeah. That's what we grew up on. And it was just such a cool environment too, and a cool like space to, I want to say, like, just be creative, and like, I don't know, going to shows was special.
It was special. There was like something in the air back then with music. It wasn't just like, hey Google, stop the music. Sorry about that. It wasn't like, now I feel like everybody's just making music to kind of blow up. But like back then there was something like, you could like feel the shit that people were singing about, even if the lyrics weren't super tight, if they weren't great, you could just like feel the emotion.
Yeah.
And I love that. I always like say like, and this isn't to like bring the mood down or the pod down or anything, but I always feel like depressed or like drug addict artists, or like, people that like really go through shit, are the best artists, not because of always the way that they storytell, but the way they storytell through emotion.
Yeah. If you've had a lot of pain, it builds a lot of character, and you can hear it, or like
both of those.
Yeah. Real recognizes real.
Exactly.
Too. You can kind of smell when a rat, or like I've heard it described like that, or what I'm trying to say is you can hear when there's a genuine feeling in the song, even if it's just piano or just guitar. But yeah, when you marry that with, you know, the right lyrics and melody, and that shit comes out, yeah, it's just real.
Yeah.
And it feels tangible, versus when you listen to something that's not as thoughtful, and or maybe it was made commercially just for a certain purpose, which is fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of great songs that came out of that era, like that era when we were, I don't know, just coming into high school.
Yeah,
and then
14 to 18.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Plus, it was exciting too, because it was a whole new genre of music was being made.
Yeah.
And a whole scene. And when we were kids, promoting was going to like high school and handing out flyers. Everything was like on the ground footwork.
Yeah.
Which was super cool, and
Guerrilla
it's not
marketing.
done today anymore.
Yep.
As like not nearly as much, if at all.
Yeah.
So it was just awesome to go to a show and have a local band be able to bring 300, 400 kids into one room together. And that was the cool thing to do.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
And it was inspiring and awesome to be a part of it. And I'm happy I experienced it. Like you did too. It was just a cool ass time.
It was like you got a sense of community before social media happened. You know what
totally.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was where you went to go on like a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell kids that all the time. I'm like, dude, when I was your age, because I train a lot of kids, right? But I'm like, when I was your age, sounding like an old dude. We were at like a venue Friday, Saturday night, and that's the only thing that we were doing was just like going and hitting those places and fucking listening to music, throwing our fists around and shit, you know, having fun. But anyway, the way that I like to start this podcast with people, at least that I know, is I like to give them their flowers, right? So I just like pay you a compliment, something that you've like affected me in some sort of way in my life. Steve is somebody that I always pay attention to people, right? People that I'm inspired by. And you've really inspired me because it seems, at least from social media, I'm sure this is true, that you are just like a dream chaser. Like, and you've been on that quest and you've been doing it and you've been staying true to that. That's something that I've always appreciated about you. And yeah, man, I'm just paying you your flowers by saying you've inspired me to like continue to do that myself as well.
That means a lot, man. And something I admire about you is how hard you hustle.
Thanks, dude.
And yeah, it's something I admire your work ethic a lot.
Thanks, bro.
And I can see it. Again, real recognizes real when you're really going for it. And I can just tell within a couple minutes of meeting anybody, like what kind of person they are. And you just get a vibe in their energy. And yeah, just that's something I really admire about you. And I've always seen from you. I've never not seen you working.
I
That's
appreciate
something
that. Thanks,
like,
dude.
you want to do. And your ability to shift too and quickly do it. I think that's great. How versatile you can be.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, that's just, again, genuinely, I've seen that from you. I'm like impressed by it, and it inspires me as well when I see other people working. I love to be around that.
Yeah.
No matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're chasing the dream, or like you're trying to be great at a craft or whatever you're inspired to do.
Yeah.
And it's super cool when you're excited about it. It gets me excited. You know.
I feel that same way. Yeah. You can feel the energy, and it makes you want to like just go do shit.
Yeah, it makes you want to kick ass and just go do shit. Yeah, like you
that's
said.
sweet, dude.
That means a lot, though. I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time alone in cold, dark rooms.
I feel you, dude.
Like, yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're kind of by yourself, you don't really get to hear that all the time. Or even though it's true, you know, a lot of people appreciate you. So I really appreciate that, dude.
Yeah, dude, of course.
Yeah, and just being here.
Steve has like a really, really cool story because it all is in music. He stayed true to his path, his, you know, passion. I'm sure you've done like odd jobs or whatever throughout this whole time too.
Dude, so many.
The artist life is tough, but Steve's cool because he comes from like the pop punk background, right? And you've made it like I feel like through everything, every genre of music kind of, and now you're DJing. And you just had an album release, right?
Yeah, Friday. Well, actually, I accidentally uploaded it for Thursday night, like an idiot, and I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like
I caught that.
I was like
dude.
surprised. I was like, "Oh shit!" And I thought it would have been way cooler to release it on Friday the 13th. I'm such an idiot. But also, there's just so much new music on Fridays now. It's hard to. You don't want to get like. I'd rather get it out a day early just to catch people right before the weekend. But I appreciate that. Yeah, I just dropped an album. My first pretty much self-produced album ever. I did a lot of that with Tim Wolf and then some other close friends.
Dope.
Yeah, my buddy Ezekiel, and my friend Zed Kenzo, she's great too.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like a lot of support from other friends too. But it's self-produced. Me and Tim did all the heavy lifting on it and produced it all ourselves.
That's super cool, dude.
So
let's talk about a little bit of the early days of music with you. What kind of got you into it? Why was it like, was it pop punk? Was that your first like venture for music?
I mean, when I first started liking songs on my own, you know, versus listening to music in the car with your parents and being like, this is cool.
Yeah.
It was like Warped Wednesdays on Fuse TV.
Yeah.
And whatever music videos I could just binge watch all day. So that was what really kind of started getting me first into the music that I liked. But what got me started in music playing it was I went to this Christian camp a couple summers, and we'd spend a week there, and we had this counselor named Tom, and he would always play his guitar to sleep, and I thought it was dope. And he played really awesome stuff, like really pretty riffs. He had the riffs.
Sweet.
Yeah. And I was like, man, I want to be like Tom. And I was 12 at the time. So I got home, and my dad had a really shitty acoustic guitar that the bridge was way too high on it. I could barely get my fingers to play it. It was just sucky. And I just didn't put it down. So eventually my parents saw that and started taking me to lessons. And I learned from a really great guitar teacher named John Moss, who still teaches at the same building.
Sweet.
Great dude. And yeah, that was how I started. And then how I got into my first band was I went to the YMCA as a kid as well, to summer camp there.
Nice.
And I met this kid named Ryan Sturmer, and Ryan invited me to try out for this metal band that I didn't know anything about metal because I had only been learning like Green Day songs and Jimi Hendrix and stuff like that. So I showed up to this band practice, and we had to wait for the drummer to get across the street. And I look across the street, and I see this kid walking out from like 8th grade, and it was my now studio partner and like one of my best friends I've ever had in my life, like my right-hand man and brother, Tim Wolf. And Tim was the drummer of this metal band. So yeah, I tried out, and I just wasn't metal enough.
Okay.
And anyways, Tim actually kicked me out of that band a couple days later.
Tim did? No way.
Yeah, they tasked Tim to do it.
Tim.
So yeah, I wasn't metal enough. Tim had to kick me out. And then a couple of months later...
What's not metal enough? What does that mean?
I mean, I don't know. I just didn't, dude. I didn't have the riffs. I didn't have the chops, bro.
Yeah.
I just didn't have, I had, like, I was a good guitar player.
Yeah.
Enough to be in that band for sure, but I just wasn't a good fit for that band.
Got it.
Just because I didn't grow up listening to metal. I wasn't a metal kid. I was...
What kind of, like, what genre of metal was this?
This would have been, like, 2006, 2007. Like, ABR was popping off.
Yeah.
Prada was cool. Bring Me the Horizon.
Sweet.
So it was like that kind of metal.
Yeah.
Like very, our generation's metal.
Sure.
It wasn't like, old stuff like Metallica. It was like new, modern at the time.
Quick side note, the way that Bring Me the Horizon has like shifted and evolved. Oh my God, dude. Kudos to those dudes.
Yeah, I'm impressed that Ollie can sing. And it works because he can like kind of scream sing it.
Right.
And they're dope.
Yeah.
I really like their new artwork too. I just saw it the other day. It reminds me of the stuff that I'm really into right now.
I haven't seen it. I should look at it.
It's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
So anyways, Tim, he kicks you out of the band. You're not metal enough.
Yeah. So I was pretty bummed. That was like my first band I was ever in, and I was so stoked to be in it. And I really loved the dudes that I was starting to get to know with it. But then, Tim came across the street. I wasn't good enough, so I got kicked out. Then a couple months later, I got a call from Ryan, the guy that I met at the Y, Sturmer, whose uncle happened to be in, I think, Genesis or Yes. Like, he was in a musical family randomly, but Daryl Sturmer is his name.
Sweet.
He's from Milwaukee, too, but I think he played with Phil Collins. Anyways.
With Phil Collins?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
But fact check me on that, because I don't want to be spitting bullshit. But I'm pretty sure. Ryan calls me months later and asked me if I wanted to try out for another band. And I was like, for sure, dude. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was just still taking lessons and doing my own thing. And I go to try out for this band, and I got in. And
dope.
That was Say by Stereo, the band.
Sweet.
Yeah, we were talking about before. But that band lasted about 2.5, 3 years.
Yeah.
Too, and yeah, I learned a lot in that band, and also had probably the most fun out of any band I've maybe ever been in. But
did you already like in Saved by Stereo? Were you like playing a bunch of shows, touring? Like, what are the things that you learned being in your first band too?
How to write songs.
Yeah.
Just by sucking.
Yeah.
The first time. Yeah, and then also Colin, the drummer. He's actually the guy who I moved in with in LA, who also became a really great, well-credited producer in his own right too. Like Colin's got nice credits. Like he's really successful. Yeah, we learned how to record ourselves because we were like just singing into Colin's MacBook mic.
Yeah.
Like that, and then uploading it to MySpace.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, nice. And then trying to get people to listen to our shitty recordings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned how to like shittily record. We practiced a ton, like how to practice properly and having that. What else did I learn? I mean, yeah, just again, being around Ryan Sturmer. He was a great songwriter, and I'm sure he still is. Probably better than me at the time, for sure. I learned a lot from Ryan back then. But yeah, how to write, how to perform, play shows.
Sweet.
And then promote,
Yeah.
And get people to show up. And luckily, all of us in that band went to different high schools. So that really helped us because everybody could promote in like their own zone.
And
they get all these kids from all these different high schools to show up from like the south side of Milwaukee.
Totally.
So what else? Yeah, that's it. I mean, how to build light boxes because we're poor, like we can't afford lights. So like how to DIY all that stuff. Luckily, like my dad's my hero and helped me with all that and all these crazy band projects throughout the years. But yeah.
Sweet, man. Did you guys play a lot of shows?
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier too, as many as we could possibly play in a weekend or like in a month we would do, I should say. So yeah, it was super fun. We played, my first show ever was Snapdragon Fest. That's where I met all the guys, or like that's where I first saw the guys who were in With Hours Waiting and stuff like that. They played middle of the day. And then what else did we do? We played Summerfest when we were 17. I was 17. That was super cool.
That's dope.
Super humbling to play that stage.
Yeah. Were you on a big stage?
Yeah, we were on the Harley.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and then
sweet.
It was like, what's that band? Rancid, and then who else was headlining that night? I can't think of their name. They're a punk band. They have a song called Swing Like Life Away.
Oh, shit, dude. I was just listening to that song.
But that band.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Okay. I can't think of their name.
Yeah.
It's pissing me off, but whatever.
That's all right.
It'll come. What the fuck was their name? But that was the same day. And it was a big deal to me just because I'd gone to Summerfest to see like my heroes play.
Yeah. For anybody that doesn't know what Summerfest is, it's the biggest musical festival in the United States, right?
I think so. It used to be.
Yeah.
Where it was like 13 days, 14 days straight of music every single day. Now they break it up into 3 weekends. So I'm not sure how the numbers are, but per people, I think it was like millions of people would come.
Yeah.
From all over.
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big festival in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so it's dope. I actually like the new model better.
You like
the 3 weekends? Yeah, just because
it's easier to go to if you have like a commitment. Like
exactly,
working.
Yeah. I haven't gone in years, by the way, so I'm talking about it as somebody who literally has not gone to it. But I think that it's a cool, like, I don't know. My guess would be that more people would go on a given day if it's split into weekends rather than having it throughout the week. Like more people just in general probably go when it's 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
But I feel like they pack the house out more if it's, weekend.
Yeah, I feel like there's more people that are available to go.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I do miss though. Like it was tight when it was like those full weeks because you could go on like a Wednesday and see somebody dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was cool because they'd have deals too. Like you bring a can of food or something and you get in for like half price.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tight.
Cool, man. And then so from Saved by Stereo, you end up meeting a bunch of people, obviously. What's the transition like from going from Saved by Stereo to Mechanical Kids?
So while we were recording out here, that album that we put out, there's this dude sitting in Joel's studio, like in like the lounge, and he was playing like Super Nintendo, and he looked pretty gnarly. He had like long blonde hair, and I was like, "Who the hell is this guy?"
Yeah, nice emo kid.
Yeah, like so he was just there one morning when we were about to record, and I go up to introduce myself, and he's like, "What's up, man? I'm Sean," and I was like, "Oh, how's it going? I'm Steve," and yeah, that's how I met Sean.
Nice.
Who was the singer of Mechanical Kids.
Yep.
So Sean had been recording with Hours Waiting there at Joel's studio because Joel did their whole album.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I met Sean. So right around 2000. I don't even know. I was 17, so fucking 2009. Sean asked me to play guitar in Mechanical Kids.
Dope.
And I knew it was going to be a really cool opportunity. Mm-hmm. Plus, my relationship minus Tim with the band at that time was not that great. So I knew it was kind of like they were kind of pushing me out, minus Tim. And that's how I felt, at least. And that's how it eventually turned out to be. So I just wanted, and also at that point in my life, I already knew I wanted to do music, like go for it. And it was just that's the only thing I loved like that.
Yep.
So I joined Mechanical Kids while I was in Saved by Stereo, and I was doing both at the same time. And then eventually I got kicked out of Saved by Stereo. Yeah. And I was like, okay. I felt bad because I loved Tim, at the time, and Tim was one of my best friends and still is now. Obviously, is one of my closest friends for sure, and my studio partner. Yeah. So I was bummed, but Sean asked me to join. I said, yeah, hell yeah, and I joined Mechanical Kids and started practicing with them. I had to try out. I was so nervous. Yeah. There was a bunch of dudes I had never played with before and guys that I looked up to. Sure. Like all the best of the best in like the scene at the time, or like the cool dudes that, everybody was always going to see. And guys who were selling out the Miramar Theater and all those other shows, and guys who we'd grown up with, but we always looked up to them. And I was suddenly like cool enough and also earned my place in the room, and that felt humbling and also scared the shit out of me, but it worked out.
You joined the cool crowd.
I felt like it. Yeah. Yeah. Cause I was, and they called me Squid forever.
Squid?
Like from, was that Rocket Power?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
New dude. Yeah. So they call me, that's like a relic, or like what's that word? I'm trying to think of, that's a fucking old reference for you kids out there. Yeah. But yeah, Rocket Power. Anyways.
I think it might be worth like touching on Sean and With Hours Waiting and all that stuff, because like Milwaukee music culture, there was only like 2 bands, right? That were really, or not 2, like maybe 3 if you count Green Means Go, but there was only like a few bands that like people looked at and they were like, oh, they're gonna do it, right? And for me, you can tell me if you think any differently, but I think it was Sleep Therapist Sleep.
Oh, for sure.
And then With Hours Waiting. Those were like the 2 bands I feel like that people looked at and they were like, holy shit, those guys are gonna do it.
Yeah. Sleep was like our older brother, like Sammy. Yeah. He fucked with us. Yeah. Sammy K did, and because he came from pop punk bands, I should say. So there was Sleep, there was With Hours Waiting, there was 1 or 2 that played at Snapdragon Fest that were really good too. Actually, they're not from here, but the Color Morale.
Yeah, they're big.
Yeah. Like they were the Killer Apathy.
They were Illinois, right?
Yeah, but just across the line. So they were kind of around here, but really for Milwaukee it was Sleep. And then With Hours Waiting too. And then, those are the 2 main ones that I looked up to.
Sleep did sign a deal with Sumerian, right?
Yeah, you'd have to talk to Clay about how and what happened with that weird deal they signed.
Yeah, because I don't know anything past that.
I don't know if it was Sumerian. It was like some label. Okay. Like out of like Orange County, California, and something fell apart, which happened to us too. It's very common.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. But those are the guys we looked up to when we were coming into the scene. Yeah. They had already been playing shows. Yep. So
that's I think that's a really important part of your like journey and your story too, is that somehow you get linked up with the right people, and that like kind of catapults your career too, right?
Yeah, it was just, I don't know, divine orchestration. Yeah. That we happened to go to Joel. Joel is an amazing, successful producer now, huge producer in rock and metal. Yeah. And Joel took in all us kids, like who were a bunch of shitheads and didn't know anything about recording, and turned us into musicians and proper studio dudes, and helped us get our shit together. Like Joel's such a mentor, like for all of us. With Hours Waiting, all those dudes, my bands, and like all the metal bands in Milwaukee, Joel was a huge light and is still a huge light, and a guy that I look up to a lot.
Is he still in Milwaukee?
Yeah, he's still out here, like in Hubertus area.
Okay.
Right here.
Cool.
To my knowledge, I think Menominee Falls is where his studio is.
Yeah, okay. So then there's Cherry Pit out there too.
That Joel is in that building.
Oh, really?
Or was last time I was at a studio, yeah.
No way.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Dope, dude. That's really wild.
Yeah. So because of Joel, just because of music, I met Joel, and then Sean happened to be there, and then I met Sean, and then I actually started hanging out with Sean outside of it, and we were kind of like just messing around, writing songs together, and just making, I don't know, friends and stuff. And then, yeah, that just grew. There was me and Sean was a friendship before I was even in his band.
Okay.
Or he even asked me.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And then I was like, yeah, I'm honored. I'd love to be in your band. So
what's that journey like joining Mechanical Kids? Because you guys eventually did get signed, but what's the journey like up to that point?
It was like Say by Stereo was super fun, but I was heartbroken for sure at the end because that was my first real band.
Mm-hmm.
And I played so many shows with those dudes and toured and learned so much with them. And then that was all coming to an end. And it just, at the time, like now I'm cool with all the members. Like I lived with Colin.
Nice.
Like, and Colin was never mad at me, and we were all just kids. So, and everybody in that band I've talked to since. Obviously, I'm a partner, like a studio partner with Tim now. So
yeah.
At the time, though, it was a really big bummer when you're 17 and that goes away.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't have time to think. I was so driven like that with this new band, Mechanical Kids, that it was an easy transition. And they were more serious about their goals, and also the talent level. Just everybody was pushing each other to be even better, and we practiced so much. So that was hard to get used to, I'd say, because my first band, we didn't practice as hard as this new band did. So,
yeah.
I was ready, so I wasn't ever worried. I was just like excited, happy, but also bittersweet because my last band had just ended, and I love those guys.
Yeah,
and yeah, we played a lot of fun shows together, but I was really excited for that new opportunity. So, I just literally took my stuff out of one practice room, moved it out to Mike Severson's, and it just got thrown in. And luckily, I swam, I didn't sink.
Yeah,
in that
totally.
band. So
sweet, man. Let me restart the camera.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, so then I think something that would be interesting for a lot of people to hear too is like what you've touched on, that you like learned how to practice the right way.
Yeah.
I think that a lot, so like younger dudes trying to be in bands, one of our issues when I was in my band for sure was that there was like no structure to practice, right? So like walk me through that a little bit, because I think that there is an art to learning how to practice, learning how to perform, and all that, and that's probably done in like a more structured way of practicing, right, as a band?
Yeah, we'd schedule them out, and like throughout the years of all my bands, we'd set aside days for writing or whatever needed the most attention. We'd block out time for each point, and we'd get together two or three times a week at least. So that was something I learned a lot from Tom and Mike in Mechanical Kids, was how to be effing militant, like and a savage, and just drill. Like I can still literally, like I have the muscle memory still of all those songs that we played. And I don't even, it's annoying because I feel like a robot sometimes, or like, because my brain, when I hear like an old song that we did, I'm like, like I'm like, oh God, like what the fuck? It's kind of scary, but it's just, that's how much we drilled. So practicing 6 hours a night for like, and we did that 2 or 3 nights a week.
You guys all together for 6 hours?
Just drilling the set.
That's a job.
Set. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we all treated it like it. So we would do that 2-3 times a week. And after, working our whatever jobs. Yeah. And going to school or doing whatever we were doing.
Staying up till like 2 a.m.
Yeah. Like at one point I had like 2 jobs, and I was going to school, and I was in the band. That's great. That's a grind. It was insane. Yeah. But everybody had that mentality. Yeah. And when you have 6 guys in a room with the same goal and everybody's on that same page, it is unstoppable. Yeah, like, for sure. That's like an insane amount of power. Yeah. When everybody has that, like, and there's no weak point. Everybody's like, this is it. Like I'm going to die for this shit right now. You're all driven through purpose. Yeah. Yeah. And when, you're all in the same room, and like iron sharpens iron, and everybody was always pushing each other in the best ways in the beginning of that band. So, we would practice, like I said, 6 hours every couple days. I think it was Tuesdays and Thursdays we'd practice. And then the rest of the week, each of us had a night on MySpace where we would send 300 messages, and we would send we'd start real conversations with actual kids on MySpace. Yeah. And we'd just keep up. Like I had Monday or Tuesday. I forgot what day of the week I had. So I would send 300 messages and then try to show kids our EP and then try to hustle the EP online because that's when iTunes was a thing. And
that is crazy.
Yeah. So CD sales were already kind of fading out.
Yeah.
And that's when iTunes sales mattered.
Yeah.
Like that's when the industry was all focused on like how much are you selling on iTunes?
Yeah.
And it was a big deal because then any band could finally sell their music on that. And through MySpace, we hustled and sold a good amount of EPs, enough to get some attention from a major label eventually, and those stats, like, they mattered.
So you guys were doing literally like the Alex Hermosi cold messaging method. Do you know Alex Hermosi?
No.
He's like this, he's the $100 million guy or whatever, but he started this thing called Gym Launch, and one of his methods that he tells people is to send 100 DMs a day. 100 DMs a day. You guys were already doing that. So you were kind of looking at this as a business in the beginning.
Yeah, no, 100%. When we came into that band, our goal was to get a deal.
Yeah.
You know, like, or that was like our dream goal, you know, and just be the best band we could possibly be and make the best songs we possibly could.
Yeah.
A lot of the writing, most of which, like 90%, was done by Sean.
Yeah.
So to take the weight of, like, everybody had their different roles and things they were good at. Like, Tom was basically the manager of the band up until we did get a manager. And we'd all, like, if we had to build something or we needed something for, like, light boxes, I built that because I had experience from my first band. So I would do that. And then everybody, took on the 300 messages a night. Like, one night of the week, you're dedicated. So luckily, having 6 dudes, it spreads it out nice and even.
That's crazy.
Yep. And then where they left off, you pick up the next day.
Wow.
And just keep those conversations going. But we'd always, like, sign our names at the end of each message. And they're very personal. Like, we met a lot of people because of MySpace. And it really helped our band. And if you got big on MySpace back in the day, like, that's
crazy.
It was a music-centric platform.
Yeah.
And it was awesome.
I miss that, actually.
Me too. 100%. No algorithm.
It was great for musicians to just kind of pimp their stuff and put it out there. Like, there's no, at least for me, I don't really keep up with SoundCloud or any of that, but there's no other platform that did so much for musicians as MySpace did.
It made people. It's the reason, it's a huge reason why we probably got signed or looked at. You know, MySpace statistics mattered, and really, as a tool for musicians back in the day, it was unprecedented. Yeah, it was mind blowing, and so friendly to music. And we always romanticize. Everybody talks about MySpace and those days of how simple it was. Yep, and how awesome, that platform was, and just even hanging out, like, just those early days of the internet. That was like dial-up days. Straight up. Yeah, like, you had to log on to the internet. Yeah, I remember that. That's old. So and it was new too. Like, nobody had really pioneered it. That was like new internet shit.
Yeah, and Tom was everybody's first friend on their friend list.
Yeah. And we would just try to be as diligent as possible and just think outside the box with how we were promoting, and also learn from other people. Yeah. And we had a lot of good mentors, but that we were very driven.
You were ahead of the curve for sure.
Yeah. As far as, I guess, if messaging people and sending DMs is something, I think that's always good to do. Yeah. If you have the time and you can really make personal connections with people, super valuable. Yeah. Because you never know, like, those kids, who they turn out to be in 10 years, or, like, just if you want to, all my friends mostly have been through music and that connection. So it was awesome.
Networking is a superpower, dude. I tell people that all the time. Like, a lot of the connections and stuff that I have are now in the fitness industry and, like, CrossFit and stuff like that. But when you're able to, like, connect with people on a deeper level than just, like, business or, like, superficial things, if you can find things in common with people, talk to them about it, and network your way into a social group or a friend group, it, like, will open so many doors that would just blow people's mind, you know? And I think that a lot of people lack the ability to have those personal conversations with people that they don't know. And it's definitely a learned skill. So it's interesting to me that you guys at such a young age, because you were probably like 20, 21 at that point.
I was 17 when I joined Mechanical Kids. The band ended when I was like 20.
Okay. But even so young to be able to do that, that's crazy.
I think, like, the oldest member was maybe 18, 19 in the band.
Yeah, that's wild.
So we were all, We were all about that.
So what happened? So how do you guys get signed, and what was that like? Were you guys selling out shows too, by the way, before this?
So yep. So we that was also, there was a lot of like predisposed fans because there was people that knew obviously who Sean was from Rescue and With Hours Waiting. And
Rescue, dude.
Yeah, because that was Brad and DJ and Sean.
Yeah.
So Brad and DJ and Sean were in the band, and then Sean went to With Hours Waiting to sing.
My buddy Casey took over the lead vocals of Rescue.
Yep. Casey and Paul.
Yeah.
They were doing it.
That's
Yep.
so funny.
Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, With Hours Waiting had a lot of old, fans that transferred over. Obviously the fans of Rescue. Sean had been doing his own like pop stuff on MySpace. It was very Never Shout Never-y.
Yeah.
And then when
what happened to that guy?
Who? Never Shout Never?
Yeah.
The last time I saw him physically and saw him doing well, like playing shows, was, I don't know. I hope he's doing well. I'm sure he's fine. He's got like loads of fans.
Yeah.
Women adore him.
Yeah.
Like,
Die hard.
Yes. And I still love his music. He's dope. But
anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where I was going, but
sorry, you were saying that you had a lot of crossover fans from like Rescue, With Hours Waiting.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I said Sean did this Never Shout Never-esque music on his own MySpace, and that was starting to do really well. And then they made it full band, and that's when I came in the picture too. So a lot of already built-in fans kind of from all those bands that we had already been in.
Yep.
And they transferred over to Mechanical Kids pretty seamlessly. And we were still able, because we're, again, like you said, those personal connections with all these kids.
Yeah.
After every show, we'd always hang out and talk to everybody and support all the bands.
Yep.
So everybody fucked with each other and genuinely did, and would support each other and go to shows wherever it would be. Sussex Bowl, like Miramar Theater. Miramar Theater, Shorewood Legion Hall.
Yeah.
We'd just travel around and go to like whatever was happening that weekend. It was like local show. Hell yeah, let's go. Let's all hang out there.
Yep.
So that's how we got a lot of those local fans to get behind it. Plus, I like to think our songs didn't suck.
Mechanical Kids?
Yeah.
No, they were good.
Yeah, Sean was on one.
Sean's a good songwriter.
Great.
Yeah.
He taught me so much.
Yep.
I owe him a lot, and I appreciate. Sean's the reason why I started producing.
Nice.
Yeah, Sean helped me pirate my first copy of Reason.
No way.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was another thing back in the day too. Early internet was like pirating, like torrenting softwares.
Dude, downloading those files. Yeah.
Deepinoid and stuff and Pirate Bay. Yeah.
So funny. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I love Sean, and I will always have the most respect for him and the most appreciation and gratitude for Sean.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, that's how we got them to come out. And then we were also, like I said, hustling the MySpace stuff. So those two things combined, eventually, somehow we ended up like in this magazine called Alternative Press.
I remember that.
And we were one of the bands featured in the section called Hometown Heroes.
Yeah.
And apparently, from our A&R, per him, like he was going through all these bands, like he picked up a copy of it. He was working at Universal Motown at the time, which is the label we got signed to. So he picked up this copy of AP Mag, which was a big deal back in the day to get an AP. It was actually, he went through all the bands. He decided he liked us the most out of all of them. And he called up our manager at the time and asked if he can come out and see us in Milwaukee.
Sweet.
So we're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is insane.
You're 17?
Yeah, I was 17.
So
I couldn't sign
crazy.
the deal until I was 18. So we had to like kind of wait. So yeah, so now it's this show is like the biggest moment ever in our fucking lives.
Yeah.
And like everything we'd ever dreamed for, and hoped for. So it was actually a joint show. It was my farewell show with my old band.
Really?
Yeah, Say by Stereo.
Wow, okay.
And then Mechanical Kids headlined the show.
No way.
And the headline was specifically to showcase for Corey Roberts, who was our A&R at Universal Motown.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that helped the draw.
Yeah.
Sure. And like I would just not beg, but like my family was super supportive. I'd ask. We wanted to sell it out, and we did.
Yeah.
Because they want to see that.
Where was this? Miramar?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So
great venue.
Yep. Awesome. Like the home for so many bands and kids.
Yeah.
And just the community of people back then. But we sold out the show. Corey loved it. And a year later we were signing a deal.
That's nuts.
Yeah, there's a lot of negotiation that goes on between the label and your lawyer or whoever. And then once you guys finally, there's like literally it's like an 80-page contract. So it's just a lot of paperwork.
Takes a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all got to be redlined and looked over. And then what also makes sense for your band that maybe doesn't make sense for this, agreement or whatever.
So for those of you that don't know, Universal Motown was a big label. It's
Yeah.
not like some weird fringe like label where like it's a local thing and you just hang out in the city type thing. It's like a legit label.
Yeah, it was a major label.
Yeah.
At the time, they had Young Money, which was obviously Drake was just coming up at that time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like Lil Wayne, who couldn't be any bigger, and Nicki Minaj. And they also had bands like Forever the Sickest Kids, who we ended up becoming friends with.
Dope.
And like bands like 4 Years Strong and a bunch of other artists too at the time that were huge. Yeah, we had no idea. Like I couldn't think. I guess it makes sense because they had those MySpace bands, a few of them.
Yeah.
But it's just so strange to me that we got signed to Motown, but our A&R was really cool and got the music and was really, as far as like an A&R goes, I couldn't, like to this day, I don't even know if they make him as good as Corey Roberts.
Really?
Yeah. As far as where he placed us and how strategically and smart he was with setting us up with rights and Sean up with like, rights with all these people, these writers and producers from all around.
Yeah.
Like Corey A&R'd that project to the moon, and I'm heartbroken still for him. And really the music that a lot of those songs that we wrote never saw the light of day. And,
Really?
And probably won't ever will. Yeah. I mean, some of them did.
Do you have them?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'll have to talk to Tom. I don't have all the demos.
Yeah.
But somebody does.
Cool.
Because we stole them from Sean.
You did?
Yeah. So we were writing all these songs and we had like 40 to choose from. So when you get signed, your job now is to write and deliver an album of songs. Then you cut it down to 10 or 12 and then go record it with somebody and then put it out on tour.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's so much work.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean was gone like all the time. So that was a little tough for us too, because there's so many members. How are you going to like logistically fly 6 dudes to every single write? Doesn't really make sense.
Where is Sean at? Like in LA or something?
Yeah, Sean was in LA a bunch, New York, and other places.
Just
all
at different
over.
studios recording?
Yeah, and Chicago too, where he met Chris, who is another huge light for me in music now.
Sweet.
Yeah, Chris Rennell, awesome dude, amazing, one of the best. But yeah, so like the label was sending him out to do all these writes with big writers, like big effing deals at the time.
That's sweet.
But yeah, so he does that. He comes back and, we would still practice too without him and just drill the set and just do whatever we could back home, send the messages, do everything, look for new ways to promote while he'd be gone on these trips.
Yeah.
So yeah, within a year, we got those songs done. We picked out a producer because while Sean was doing all these songs, he was kind of like feeling out these different writers and producers and seeing who would be a good fit for us.
Yeah.
And the label also had an input on it too. But yeah, so we get all these songs done and then we're like, at Mike's house out in Sussex, and Sean brought them on a CD and put them into the computer, and we're all listening, and everybody's voting like on paper, like not really talking. We're just like quietly writing down our votes. So yeah, we can't like influence each other. Like, what's the best 10?
Yeah.
What are our songs we die for that needs to be on this album?
Yeah.
So yeah, Sean like ended up going to the bathroom or something, and I was like, quickly. And so we all literally went to iTunes, like saved it, and like ripped the CD. And and then Sean came back in the room and we're like acting like nothing happened. So, because we're not supposed to, at that time, like leaking the album was like detrimental for sure.
Yeah.
And for like Sean like heard from the label, like he can't give these songs out and blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
I'm like, fuck you, we're in the band, dude.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're going to have these songs. So yeah, we stole them. And our own songs. We stole our own songs. And like hours later, like there was like CDs. We're just like burning CDs. And
giving them.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy how like leaking music actually turned out to be a good thing for artists?
Yeah.
Like Lil Uzi Vert. Do you pay attention to him or did you used to?
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
So like back in the day, I remember his stuff got leaked by like one of his friends or whatever, and he was super pissed about it. But it ended up being the thing that completely shifted his career. Was that his music got out there like without his consent.
Yeah, so many artists, either they get shelved by a label, but a lot of people make stuff and it just sits on their hard drive and dies.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
So not good.
Yeah.
Especially if it's great.
Yeah.
Music, So I understand if there's legal stuff binding, that's the biggest heartbreaker. Like when songs are so great, but then something happened to
and
win
you just
out.
can't
There's red tape on them and you can't legally put them out.
Yeah.
That's heartbreaking. That's
Yeah.
basically what happened to Mechanical Kids at the end. But luckily, we got some of those songs.
Yeah. Let's bring it back real quick. So you're 17 years old. You like get the glimpse into like, you know, your dream, and then you have to wait a year, right, until you actually sign a deal. What is it like at 18 years old to finally fucking sign a deal, dude?
I was like, literally a dream come true.
Yeah.
And it was insane. Yeah, I couldn't even believe it. And, you know, you kind of ask yourself, like, why us? You know, a lot.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with DJ, the guitarist, and he said something that stuck with me. And he's like, somebody's got to do it. Why not us?
Hell yeah.
And I was like, damn.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love
like,
that.
why not us, bro?
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And like, that's the kind of energy that band had, especially in the beginning.
Well, and it seems like you guys really did your due diligence. Like you really put one step in front of the other.
We treated it like a business.
Exactly. Yeah.
Still had so much fun.
Yeah.
But we were driven like to attain this goal, and we did.
Yeah.
And we did it when I joined, it was the fall of like 2009. And then by 2010, we had the deal. So
That's wild.
We did
a
it
year.
with like within a year.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I remember that too, because I remember being like, I feel like these guys just became a band, and you guys were
pretty much
already
did.
like, yeah, you guys were announcing that you had that deal and whatever. And I remember seeing you guys. Did you go on tour or whatever? And you had these like I remember you had an orange half stack or a full stack or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my god, dude, they made it. They have the orange speakers, you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like everybody pretty much paid for their oranges themselves. Like,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you could have used your label advance to pay
Yeah.
for that, but I bought a really shitty car with my money.
You probably needed it.
Yeah, I did. I was 18 and I was like, you know what? I just got this check, $1,200. I'm buying a car
Hell yeah.
for sure. Buy my
Dope.
first car. And, but yeah, those oranges, yeah, they're not cheap. And to have like an orange stack, I remember like looking at them too, and bands would have them like, damn,
Yeah.
they're so legit.
That's what everyone wanted, dude. Yeah.
Orange. And yeah, I mean, yeah, so I had that, and I sold it a couple years ago, and I was so sad. But I sold it to a family member, so
Nice.
he stepped up and like did me a favor and kept it in the family. So I was really
Cool.
Yeah, I was attached to those speakers. But yeah, I remember that was a dream come true guitar rig to have.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, having not only you get signed and that all pays off, but now you have orange. Yeah, like you're slowly getting these things like you always dreamed of, like
Hell yeah.
Gibson guitar, orange like amps,
Yeah.
and cab. Like, wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
So you have your dream come true.
yeah.
And then I even remember being heartbroken by the news that Universal Motown like crashes or whatever. So in between the time that you get signed and that happens, do you guys go on like a bunch of tours? Who do you tour with? And then what's it like getting the news about the crash?
Yeah, so we in the interim while Sean was writing, when he'd be back home, we'd still play like 4 times a year in Milwaukee.
Nice.
That's like as much as we wanted to, like once a quarter or like once every 3-4 months.
Okay.
Just to not oversaturate it, but still play
Yeah.
and keep the fan base.
Yep.
And our friends coming to the shows and still selling out. We needed to maintain that. So we did a lot of like Weekend Warrior, like 3-4 day runs.
Nice.
And we'd try to do different markets and swap shows with other bands that were big in their market, or
Yeah.
like the equivalent of what we were doing in Milwaukee. They're doing it in Minneapolis or
Yeah.
Chicago. So that's what we were doing there.
That's tough to do show after show after show.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was a lot of the Weekend Warrior stuff was
Yeah.
while we were getting the deal and while we were in the deal. And then after the deal fell through, that's when we actually started to tour more full time, which is crazy. But we had a couple of friends and bands that would take us out and vice versa. We do the same thing in the Midwest for them, and friends that we had made through playing shows. Like we played Madison a lot, Milwaukee,
Yeah.
Minnesota a couple times, Chicago. And then, we did a couple like full country runs, not out west, but like everything else for the most part.
Sweet.
So, and like our longest tour, I think was like 28 dates of actual shows. And then, or maybe it was 26 dates and we were gone for like a month and a half.
That's cool.
Yeah. And luckily, we got to keep the old school bus that our label funded.
No way.
Yeah. We had to we budgeted in our like album stuff, or like for our record deal, we budgeted like X amount of dollars for a touring vehicle.
Sweet.
And it just so happened that Joel Wanasek, the guy who recorded us, and Joel was selling his like fucking metal school bus.
No
yeah,
way.
'cause he was in like a death metal band.
Sweet.
But he converted a school bus like into basically an RV.
That's dope.
So yeah, we bought that from him for like $4 or $5 grand.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we had that, and so we toured in a school like a all black, flat like matte black school bus.
Yeah, that's sick.
And man, the thing was so bumpy. Just picture being in a school bus.
Yeah.
as a kid. That's
Yeah.
how touring in a school bus is.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but it was fucking rad. We called it the Black Pearl.
Nice.
Yeah,
The Black Pearl.
it's sick
That's
as
sweet,
fuck.
dude.
Yeah.
What's it like to like get that news?
Oh, okay. Yeah. My apologies.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to describe to anybody having their dreams come true and then getting ripped away. It's gut wrenching. It feels like you've been broken up with ×5 when you're madly in love with somebody.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
kind of, I'm sure you've had things happen to you where your stomach sinks.
Yeah.
And it's just
100%.
like your entire world shifts, and or it just feels like it's ending.
Yeah.
I didn't ever think that I was like done with music, but I was heartbroken. Everybody was. I still have the letter. I framed it from the label dropping us,
Really?
and I hang it at my studio. Yeah,
As like motivation?
Yep, right in front of the light switch. Every time I go in and leave, like that is what I'm looking for. Like I'm trying to get back to that level again. I necessarily don't want to sign a deal, but that's my motivation.
Yeah.
For sure. Or one of the things that really motivated us, even after the deal, was like it fell apart not because of us, because of the circumstances at the label and where the economy was with music too.
Yeah.
And the head of our label quit, so it was heartbreaking. Yeah, it was really tough to do all that work and then have to dig deeper again because we couldn't touch those songs.
Yeah.
We wrote 40 awesome songs and we couldn't touch them. So we had to write even more songs and release an EP ourselves. And that was tough too because we had spent all this time writing this album and our sole focus was that. So we weren't touring as much because Sean was gone. And that in turn like also caused rifts a little bit in the band, and it was just tough to deal with as a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Like we're just trying to stay productive as best as we could, but yeah.
So all the legal shit doesn't just get dropped after the label like crashes? Because didn't it go under?
No, like there's this, again, like a lot of other work, and also like the same day that like we got dropped by our label, our manager quit too.
Oh.
So now it's just a bunch of 17, 18, 19-year-old kids having to deal with like 6-figure contract.
Right.
And we had already, like the way it happened was we were recording our album while we got the news.
Oh,
Sean and Mike were in LA working with a producer named Howard Benson. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And the day they got back is the day we got the news from recording our first 3 songs. Like we were in the process of recording it.
Dude.
And like we were so proud of it.
Yeah.
Because we had worked so hard on it. Sean wrote his ass off, wrote some of the best songs I've ever heard to this day.
Yeah.
And songs that I'm still proud to play and was privileged to play with them and stoked to play and humbled. But it was tough at first. We all just kind of like powwowed and what's the word? Just basically said our condolences to that bullshit, and we're like, all right, now what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
All right, what's next? And we put together another EP, and started touring and independently going on it like we had just like, let's just basically move like our album is this EP, and we're gonna tour on it because we deserve it, and that's what makes the most sense, and we need to like reach these new markets and keep growing and get to another point where we can sign another deal.
Yeah.
And that was still our goal, was put these songs out on a record label. So
All right, so then you get the news, you go on tour, or you make an EP, a new EP. What ends up happening that like ends the band?
There was, like I said, a lot of tension throughout that time when Sean was gone.
Yeah.
And a lot of us not knowing what to do. So that started separating us as friends a little bit. And I think that combined with having another showcase that fell through. Like we had another opportunity to showcase for an A&R for Fueled by Ramen. His name is Johnny Minardi.
Dope.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we got a new manager. We were touring and doing all that stuff. So there was just a lot of ups and downs that And then eventually we just started growing apart. It was started getting a little bit more cliquey because you're dealing with a bunch of like just teenage boys.
Yeah.
And like, and a little bit of, just animosity between certain parts of the band and others, you know? And eventually that led, combined with all the ups and downs, like I can give you the full story off camera later.
Yeah, okay.
But I can tell you exactly what happened. But we basically had a showcase for this new label, which is another dream label at the time. Fueled by Ramen makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy, like Paramore, Panic at the Disco. Those were like like heroes again with the Warped Tour scene. And like the biggest deal, everybody, I wanted to be Pete Wentz.
Who like they all went super mainstream.
Yeah,
eventually
now
too.
which is crazy. Yeah, but Fueled by was responsible for like a lot of those albums being so popular and stuff like that too. The label pushed those bands really well.
Yeah.
So we had this showcase set up with them. Funny enough, we were opening for what's that band? Oh my god, I'm sucking today. They're effing huge. It's two guys. They used to wear skeleton outfits. They're huge.
Oh, 303?
No. One plays piano, one plays drums. I cannot think of the name, and they have huge hits on the radio.
Really?
Like 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Oh, I don't know.
I am sucking right now, dude.
That's
21
right.
Pilots.
Oh, nice.
So
really? Wow.
Crazy. Like we were showcasing for Johnny. 21 Pilots had just got signed by them. So they were trying to get signed too. I think they had just signed their deal.
Wow.
So yeah, it was us, 21 Pilots on the show, Breathe Electric, who had just switched to Gold House.
Yeah.
And then another band, I can't think of the name, that was also being managed by our manager. Anyways, we played the show. I'm not going to say what went down, but something went down just out of respect for the dude. So yeah, like one of the members of the band ended up doing something he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And basically after that happened, everything came crashing down in that one night. So after that, 2 of the members quit. And then a couple days later, another one did. And then it was just me and Sean.
All after that.
Yep. So after like record deal 1, we get signed, we get dropped, and then we're on our way back up. We have another showcase. Yeah, not to mention that like after we played the show, again, another showcase, the guy who was about to sign us was like, yeah, I love you guys. Like, I absolutely want to do this deal. I just want to see you guys play in your hometown now. And we're like, bet. We can get 400 people there, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, like we basically had the deal like done. Like it was about to happen. Plus we had access now. In that time period, we got the rights back to a lot of the demos we did from our previous album. So we already had an album written, ready to go.
So
and this guy was like, hell yeah. And you guys are dope. Like I love like everything you're doing, the independent, like you're touring on your own, you're doing all this stuff. It's perfect. Like, yeah.
You can see that you guys grind, you know how to do it.
And we had the proof. Like, here's all of our sales. Right. Here's everything we did with this label. Here's everything we did prior to it.
Social proof.
Yep. Here's like here's what we're doing like every single week, doing YouTube covers. Sean was like early YouTube stuff. Like we were grinding like whatever we could possibly do. So yeah, after that night, something went down.
Just some rock star shit.
Yeah. I mean, kinda.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a little bit. But like again, like now we're all friends. Like nothing bad happened, but 2 of the members quit, and then the other one quit a couple of days later. And then me and Sean were like hanging out, and he's like, "Do you still want to do this? Are you still in?" And I'm like, "100%, dude." Yeah. Like, yeah, me and you, let's go.
Sweet.
So at that same time, my other friends were in a band, and everything like it's Tim, like, and one of the drummer like from Green Means Go. His name is John, who's again another one of my best friends. I was helping their band write songs because Sean was very particular about the songs that came out under Mechanical Kids. Pretty much his project, because it was like the MySpace thing, which then
his baby, dude.
Yeah. And he was the best songwriter, which is fine. But like Sean, in his defense, was also taking a lot of my input at near the end and was way more open to it and more like supportive of that and inviting and encouraging of it. But mainly Sean's project. So I still wanted to write songs because I was one of the main writers in my first band. So I was writing them and taking all the knowledge I possibly could from the label side and giving it to my friend's band. So wow, like Tim and John, and I was telling them like, here's how we got signed. Here's how many, like, here's how,
giving them the blueprint.
Here's like an app you can use on your phone or like whatever you can do like on the internet to like help your band.
Yeah.
Here's how you can exploit Facebook and like all these other like websites. and then before like do it before they catch on, because like this is how this band blew up. Like
That's
everything,
crazy.
yeah, I could possibly learn from any producer, writer, whoever like we met through Mechanical Kids, and all that knowledge I was just write to their band.
That's sweet.
And then also writing with them. And at the same time as our band broke up, Mechanical Kids, their band had just kind of gotten to a crossroads, and they're like, they wanted to get better, but they had to like either kick out members or like start a new band entirely, because a lot of the members were also kind of going in different directions at their time too. So we decided to make a super group and just come together with the last, like these best 5 people, you know, or like the people that, you know, we all trusted and believed in the most. And yeah, that's when the Royal started.
Okay.
So, but
I don't know if I knew about that band.
The Royal?
Yeah.
It was right after Mechanical Kids.
Okay.
Then we made the Royal, and we did it with one of my songs that I actually gave to Tim's band that was really successful with them, that we re-recorded that with Sean and at Joel's again.
Yeah.
And we took a lot of the songs that didn't have red tape, some of the best ones that we wrote with this guy named Chris Ernell.
Nice.
For Mechanical Kids, we were able to get access to those. Those weren't barred off for us. And then we put those songs out as the Royal.
Wow, okay. Cool.
And yeah, we flew to LA, first time ever going there, and we shot 3 music videos in 24 hours.
No way.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Did not sleep.
On your own dime?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and like luckily through our friends, we did it on the cheap.
Yeah.
Like somehow Rob had a connection to this girl named Strawberry17, who was a YouTuber.
Okay.
And she reached out to us asking if she could use our song, the one that I wrote, Freaks, in her, like, she wanted to make a music video or like a video for her YouTube channel.
Cool.
And we're like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then Rob like finessed it, and he was like, actually, could we be in the video?
Yeah, yeah.
She was like, sure. And we're like, holy shit, because she was pretty big on YouTube. So that was awesome. So yeah, we flew out to do that video, and then we had met somebody in the band previously who was another music video producer and a great filmmaker. And we left that shoot, didn't sleep, and went directly into the next shoot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I remember like falling asleep at the wheel in like Orange County, California. Like Tim was literally punching me and like just pinching me as hard as he could, and I was still falling asleep.
It's like, we got to do this shit, dude. Wake up.
Yeah, and I've never been that tired before. Like those shoots, if you do them like right, they're so exhausting, but they're so rewarding. Anyways,
cool,
yeah.
dude.
So then we made the Royal, and that was like pretty much that band lasted again like another 2 to 4 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I took a step back from band life, like that, in that sense of it. And at the same time, right when the Royal started, I started DJing and producing.
Yeah. Let's get into that.
Yeah.
How did that start?
Like pretty much accidentally.
Okay.
Like I just wanted to make music. And then I saw Sean producing on Reason, and he gave me the copy of it and helped me get started in it. And then I just ran and just started going to YouTube for all these tutorials. Back then, there was not as much information online as there is now. So yeah, like pirating software and samples, and there was no Splice, there was nothing.
Sure.
There was like no tools to help you. It was like word of mouth and time, and like, you know, if you could illegally download it and put it on your shitty laptop. So yeah, I got started because I wanted to write my own songs. So Reason was my outlet. And I always loved electronic music, but I got really into it. And Mechanical Kids, like I heard Deadmau5 for the first time when I was 17.
Yeah.
Late nights in the van when we were on tour.
Sure.
And I would just listen to Deadmau5, and it blew my mind. And it was super inspiring. Like, yeah, I got into it because I was inspired to do it. And it was exciting at the time. Again, another new genre of music being born and being popularized, and all these new genres are coming out of it at the same time as you're going, and it like gets so big so fast, real time. It blew up,
dude. I remember listening to Sonny Moore from First Celeste, right? And we'll spoil who that is in a second, but I remember listening to like early days like AP interviews on YouTube and stuff like that, where he was like, I've been listening to this like genre of music where it's like electronic dance music, and it's out of Europe, but there's these artists, whatever the artist's name were at the time. And I was like, oh, this sounds weird. And I listened to like one of the artists. I was like, oh, that's not for me at all, you know?
Yeah.
And then later on in life, I hear Skrillex, and I'm like, this is just, I don't know. I don't know if it's for me. I don't know if I like it, da da da. And then Tony ends up telling me, well, you know who Skrillex is, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, who's Skrillex? He goes, dude, it's Sonny Moore from First to Last. And I'm like, I'm mind blown at this time. I immediately become a Skrillex fan, even though I don't much like the music. And then I listened to like his catalog of what he had, and I'm like, oh damn, I actually do kind of like this music a little bit. I was never into like the culture, the DJ culture, the EDM culture, because I'm not like super heavy into like, you know, those drugs or anything. And I don't think that you have to be to be in the culture, by the way. But yeah, it's mind blowing to me how quick that stuff blew up, how popular like a dude from the hardcore scene like became a household name. That just blows my mind.
Yeah. Just crazy times on the internet. And also, he basically popularized dubstep.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so is that different than EDM? Dubstep?
No, dubstep is within EDM for sure.
Okay.
It's a genre in EDM.
Got it.
But yeah, I mean, it started off with like the 128 BPM stuff, like all the old electro house, like that's the Deadmau5 stuff. And like early guys like Tiesto and those guys were kind of already around.
Yeah.
And doing it. And then after it started getting really popular, rather, that's when like Deadmau5 actually found Skrillex and put his album out on Mousetrap, which is Deadmau5's label.
Dope. Deadmau5 5 is what they call it, right?
Yeah, it blew the F up. And yeah, I wasn't really a part of the culture per se either. Like I never went to a rave, you know, being in bands and stuff. When I did, like my first time ever, it was super fun, but I did feel at home because everybody's so inviting. And that was an interesting thing about like the culture of it too. Like raves versus shows, because like metal guys wouldn't really fuck with us because we're a pop punk band. Everybody just hated us or like whatever. Yep. So going to a show where everybody just loves each other, probably because of the drugs.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
Also like just in general, the community of raving was at that time, 2010, awesome. Yeah. Super cool. So, but I really didn't go to raves like ever besides, you know, the ones we either played or like unless I really loved the DJ. Sure. And you can call it a rave, but.
So you started, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, you started mostly like doing clubs and stuff, right? Weren't you doing a bunch of the clubs?
We actually started doing house parties.
Oh, cool.
So again, like the band mentality, like boots on the ground, and like we're going to throw a party at whoever's house will let us, like on the east side of Milwaukee. Yeah. And we're going to get a keg, or they're going to get a keg, and we're going to DJ it and invite as many people as possible, as discreetly as possible. Yeah. We're going to invite as many people as possible and try to like just make this dope. Yeah. So again, we're also all like getting to the age where we're drinking, you know, early days of that stuff. So it's just fun. And it was started again just because we wanted to have fun and we were super inspired by the music. Dope. Or like I did at least. And yeah, all those first shows were people's basements, like out in wherever they'd let us have us, like Delafield. I played a rave in Delafield. That was huge. And it was like 300 fucking cap basement. Super weird.
Like a mansion.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't even remember. Like I just remember the basement just being like teens. Yeah. As far as the eye could see, just sweating. Like just so grimy down there, but it was badass. Yeah. Because it was like kind of punk rock at the time to do it. So, and it was new and it was really exciting, a little bit counterculture. Yeah. Even though our generation adopted it, but it's just that's how that started. And then we moved eventually. I remember getting our first like bar gigs, and you know, after that, then we graduated to clubs and then festivals. Dope. And like different venues. Because
you've played with some pretty big DJs too, yeah?
Yeah.
Didn't somebody take you to like a is this you? Did somebody take you to like an island or something?
I've been to Cabo. Yeah. We played with. It's not an island, is it? No. No. An asshole. Geography loser, but I don't know if I've ever played an island, but I've played in Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. Dope. And I didn't want to say like and sound like a douche before it and say we played with so many big people, but there's some big DJs like a lot of people have heard of, you know, like Zed. Yeah. That was a really cool experience and really humbling. But yeah, we were fortunate enough to play with a lot of our heroes like Cascade, Zed, Martin Garrix, Dylan Francis, who else? I don't know. And a lot of random stuff too, because like college gigs, like randomly played with Jason Derulo, opened for him.
You played with Jason Derulo? That's crazy.
Yeah, he's dope. He's such a good dancer.
Is he a cool dude?
Super nice.
Nice.
So positive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just, yeah, DJing unexpectedly because it just took us all these different places because I'd only ever known touring as 5 dudes in a van, 6 dudes in a van or more.
Yeah.
And now it's like 2 guys in a zip drive and your laptops and you're just flying around
on an airplane. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, that was still hard work because I took the major label grinded out mentality.
Yep.
And all that like knowledge. And also like I wanted to win again so bad because we had it taken away.
Yeah.
And me and Tanner, my DJ partner for like the longest time of the project that I was in, I taught him what I knew, and then he also taught me what he knew as far as live performance, and then we just kept growing together. So yeah, we played a lot of shows, a lot of different places, but Summerfest and Spring Awakening, a lot of festivals.
That's so cool.
Somerset.
You got to actually like live the Rockstar lifestyle. For
I felt like I didn't deserve it.
Really?
I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah. Just because I knew how long it took to get signed.
Yeah.
And to play shows, and now everything was happening so fast. And I was like, do I deserve this? Like, have I earned it? Because I know what earning it looks like in the past. And now I'm like, wow, I'm playing for like 500 people. It took so long to get there. Or like I'm playing for this crowd of the sea of people.
Dude, you've done the cumulative work throughout the years. Absolutely, you deserved it.
Yeah, I just felt like imposter at times. Like, do I deserve this when I'm DJing too? Because I'm so used to playing guitar.
Sure.
And like really giving her on stage and like all that hard work that goes into just playing guitar.
Yeah.
And knowing your parts and nailing it live. And now like I'm DJing, I'm having an awesome time. It's just a different format. And my brain had for a long time, I couldn't compute it, you know?
Yeah.
Am I like, do people care? Like that I'm up here presenting shit? Like, cause I feel weird.
Yeah.
You know? But I just like the music. I love making it.
Yeah.
And, this is a product of it, I guess. Now.
You're him, dude. You're him.
Yeah, it felt so weird. Like anytime we ever had a show where like I was just like I looked out and I was overwhelmed sometimes by the people, and I was just like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah.
Like looking up, like just keep your cool, don't fuck up. Yeah. And,
so what takes you out to LA?
At the end of that EDM project, my band also was wrapping up and basically breaking up.
Okay.
So a lot of things were changing. And I was also going through a lot of personal stuff at that time, end of 2018.
Yeah.
So beginning of 2019, I started noticing that I wasn't myself. I couldn't even recognize myself in the mirror. And I wanted to change. I needed to do something. Otherwise, I didn't feel like I was going to last long as a human being.
Yeah.
So luckily for me, just so happens that like the drummer from my first band ever needed a roommate in LA, and I needed to get the hell out of here. Yeah. So, like March it was April, end of April, right around my birthday in 2019, I just packed all my shit, and luckily my dad followed me in with our band trailer out to LA.
That's dope.
And helped me out. And a couple other friends like Izzy, who's one of my closest friends and also partners today. He helped me move, and his brother Angel. So 2019, I just needed to change. And I wanted to grow, and I wasn't growing here artistically as well. Sure. Like sonically, and like everything I had done here up until that point, I'd done as much as I possibly could do in Milwaukee. Yeah. And I had reached that ceiling, and I felt like I wasn't going to do anything else here, or I wasn't capable of going where I wanted to go in this city anymore because I'd done it. So that's really what led me there.
Well, good. You did it for your mental health, it sounds like.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. And I was just drinking way too much here and not going out. Yeah. I was like, developed a lot of anxiety of going out because I used to be this dude that DJ'd and was known for being up there. Like, I don't even want to go out and talk about what's happening right now. I don't want to see these people because I'm just not comfortable. I also was going through a breakup too, and I was like, I don't want to see my ex. Yeah. I don't want to answer all these questions that I just don't have the energy to do. Like even just going to the club where I played so many times, or like bars and whatever, I just couldn't. So I would just stay in my room and either write at my studio and drink, or like just drink alone. Damn, bro. And it got pretty bad. So I knew I needed to change.
And that got you in a better place?
Yeah. So 100%. Like I'll never forget the feeling I had in my car, finally packed up and on the way to LA, I just felt so free.
That's
I
awesome.
felt free for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm powered. We just powered through that drive because I just didn't want to sleep.
Yeah.
Until we got there. So.
Well, thanks for sharing that, dude. Yeah, I'm happy for you. I'm glad that it got you in a better mental.
Totally. I can go as deep as you want with how dark it's gotten.
Yeah.
If you want. Just feel free to ask whatever questions. I'm an open book, but yeah, without going into crazy detail, that's in short one of the reasons. But it followed me there.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it will, right?
Yeah, and now I'm alone. Left to my own. There's nobody supporting me or like watching me ever. Besides my roommate Colin, who was dope and a caring dude, but I hid it from a lot of people for a long time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't I was a social drinker, but I'm more of a introvert. And if I'm drinking or when I was drinking, I'd rather drink at the studio and be productive.
Yeah.
I was a super high functioning alcoholic for sure. But,
so did it like get you more in a creative space, you felt like?
Yeah, it loosens you up for you're not micromanaging yourself.
Yeah.
When you're creating, you're able to get to the flow state way faster.
Yeah.
And live in it easier and touch the ethereal plane, as people say, like with way less effort than it takes to do it on your own, like sober. You get there faster. It's easier to say fuck it and make mistakes and then just free flow versus analytically writing it, which happens or can happen, at least to me. I notice it for sure.
I think it happens with everybody in creative endeavors for sure.
So eventually drinking got to the point too, like it was great, it was a super awesome writing tool for a long time, but it got to the point where it was taking more than it was giving. And then eventually I had a friend call me one day because I was down in Chicago writing with them like a couple years later after this, and they just reached out and they told me we're not worried about, you can really toss them back, Steve. Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? Because we love you, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that night I just decided to quit. That was like the catalyst for me. I had tried a couple times before that and I wanted to, but that was really it. And then that was Easter Sunday of almost 2 years ago, 2021.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's a good friend.
Yeah. Yeah. My God. Like I think about that phone call all the time.
Yeah.
I broke down. I was alone in the studio.
Yeah.
And I bawled and I was like, this is it. Like tomorrow's the day.
Yeah. Like how many friends have the balls, to call their friend up?
Yeah. Your real ones.
Yeah.
Like the people that care about you the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll tell you. And it's something that music has given me so many, if not all of, besides my parents and my sister, the best people in my life, my family. Like they've put men around me that are special dudes, uncommon amongst uncommon men, those kind of dudes. And I'm so grateful for that, if nothing else happened, but I got all these amazing friends and basically brothers.
Yeah.
Like that's so worth it. It's such a great gift. But yeah, LA was fun though. Like not to be down. I would just drink and get drunk at night sometimes, but drink a little too much here and there for sure. But wrote a lot of awesome songs with my buddy Colin and got really close with him over that summer. Colin was a producer in LA. He's done he's done work for like Hollywood Undead, and I think he worked on some Newfound Glory stuff and did State Champs.
Dope. State Champs?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, he produced them.
Nice.
And he had an awesome studio, would let me record there and wanted to. And that's where I started singing again for the first time in forever. And where I grew so much that summer.
That's sweet, dude.
Like it was the best thing for me that could have possibly happened, even though I was broke as hell.
Yeah.
And
it's LA. Everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just it was an amazing. It was what I needed at the time, and thank God it happened. And thank God for Colin too, because he helped me find, again, it sounds cliche about my voice, and we would just go to his studio some nights and just crank out songs if I had anything to record and he had a free night. And then we go back to the apartment and hang out.
That's sweet. Awesome, man.
He's an awesome dude, like special dude.
Yeah.
And so talented, so good at what he does, but like also like any artist or producer, self-deprecating and things. Like he's like, I don't know, it's like, dude, it sounds amazing. What are you talking about?
that's a common trend for all artists or creative types, I feel like. Let me restart this one more time and then, yeah, dude, I mean, it sounds like you got a lot of really cool people around you and a lot of like a really good support group, which I think is super important, especially for dudes, because we're not like super, we don't want to talk about our feelings like often, you know?
No.
And when we do, it needs to be around people that we like fully can trust and we think that we're safe with, you know? So I'm really happy for you that you have those people in your life that are willing to even just call you and be like, yo, you know, stop or chill. Are you good?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
it's super special. And like, yeah, just that moment is one I'll never forget.
Yeah.
For sure.
Why don't we, let's wrap this up and just talk about real quick what you got going on now. So you told me before we started here that you like, do you have a deal right now? A writing deal? Or did you have a writing deal?
No, I did 2 years ago.
Okay.
And then that contract ended. And ever since then, I've been independent.
Nice.
But still maintained all the relationships I have with all the people that I met throughout that. So, yeah, Tom Carrillo actually used to work, the guy from my first band.
Yeah.
Like one of them, rather. Yeah, he's like he was the head of this label that I helped build.
Nice.
And the publishing company that I helped build. So I still work with a lot of my friends, like Tim. I work every day with. But
dope.
Yeah, I had a publishing deal for a year.
Yeah.
Worked my ass off. But this last 2 years, I've been balancing writing as much as possible and still keeping up with all the music jobs and like all my friends and as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Still treating it full time, but then also working full time as well, just to keep money coming in and make sure I'm not out of balance. Because when I was writing full time, especially when I had that publishing deal, I started to hate music because I was blaming it for not giving me the things I wanted that weren't its fault.
Yeah.
So I realized that having that publishing deal, that like, I don't know, it was also just a high level of stress that year for me too, and trying to get all these things off the ground at once. And it was tough. So now, I have a studio with Tim. We have a project together called FourGiants, which just released our album.
Yep.
And
congrats.
But Tim actually still play, or rather, Tim's in a cover band too. So we try to get together as much as possible, but the summer's been tough. But we still work together like every day.
Dope.
On stuff. And we've done everything over the last like 10 years or so together, or more, 15 years together, which is crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like half of my life.
We're getting old, bro.
Yeah, for sure. Well, when you meet somebody in 8th grade, that's a long time ago. But yeah, Tim and I have done everything from like films together, like for a long time, especially with like that publishing deal. We were doing a lot of like sync stuff, which is music for like ads.
Yeah.
So like, but good clients. Like we did an ad for I did an ad for Coca-Cola.
Dope.
And we had like a lot of that work. We've done a lot of that and hustled that and kind of got pulled into it, not even trying to get pulled into it, but it just happened. But yeah, so I do that with Tim and like we work together all the time. But yeah, right now my time is mainly like 9 to 5 job. And then as soon as I'm off, especially on the weekends, I still get my 40 hours plus a week and put out the projects that I'm most passionate about, or like work on the things that I want to work on now that it's not my job to work on it.
Right. You're doing it because you love it.
Yeah. And I wanted to love it again because I started to hate it, and for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
So now I have less time, but my time is even more valuable. So I have to really be careful and really thoughtful of how I use it and what I can take on realistically. But it's starting to get to the point again, luckily and fortunately, that I'm starting to get enough projects with music to where it could be full-time again.
Dope.
Just throughout me, like my personal friendships and relationships. But that's what I do. Yeah. So like, yeah, it's full-time in songwriting still, but not traveling as much as I used to. And just because I have just different goals and I'm doing things a little bit more strategically now versus just flying off the cuff and just going everywhere all the time and not thinking it through. So,
well, definitely don't stop, dude, because a lot of those, especially DJ types, right? Like Diplo and them, didn't they like have a really long journey to actually like signing big deals and shit? Wasn't he like 33 or something, 35?
Yeah. Like most of the people you see, quote unquote, blow up overnight.
Yeah.
Like it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's
unless they're like an industry plant, like 18 years old or whatever.
Yeah, unless you've been like farmed
Right. Yeah.
Come up in it, you know, forever. Like,
yeah.
Like most of the people who have longevity in music just sucked for a long time.
Yeah.
Did shit like, and just didn't give up and
Right.
just outworked people,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just continued to have that drive, and they, you know, they live it.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, flash in the pan people where they come and they go. Like, if you're really about it, it'll reward you.
Yeah, for sure.
No matter what you do, but especially with music, yeah, it's, if you got to really love it to stick with it, you know, for as long, and endure the ups and downs, because there will be tons of them if you want to really make it your career.
Always is for any journey, right? Any journey, there's ups and downs. If you're following a passion more so than like going to school and like trying to get like a normal 9-to-5 job or whatever, that's pretty easy. But like doing the stuff that you want to do, yeah, there's going to be ups and downs.
Yeah, there's no guide.
Right.
There's no book you can read that's going to get you there. There's no 4-year degree.
Right.
You know, you get it by learning it and on the job and doing it and seeing what works and what doesn't. And it's always changing, which is exciting about it.
Yeah.
It's never going to be the same as it was, you know, 10 years ago. If you could have told me this now is how music works and this is what your new goals are and this is what you have to focus on, that'd be insane to think about.
Yeah. Right.
Just like, you'd be like, apps on your phone? What do you mean? Like, all I do is text. Like, I have pick messaging.
Right.
You know?
I got to message people on MySpace, dude.
You know, I have to like log onto my dial-up computer and do this shit. Like, what do you mean it's on my phone? Yeah.
So to round this out, I normally ask 3 questions at the end of every podcast.
Yeah.
So I guess when it comes to your music, let's focus on that. What's the biggest goal that you have for like the next upcoming year? Because we're almost to the end of this year. What about next year?
Man, on the spot. Just being in a position to dedicate more time to it, because I know that's lacking in my life. And when I've been able to be a full-time writer, I've never been more fulfilled.
Nice.
And proud. And proud to be what I love to do.
Yeah.
You know, a writer and a producer. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve.
Sweet.
You know, obviously the songs have to be successful. The work has to be good that you do to get there, but balance, like having that balance back, because I was really, really happy doing it. And I'd love to see what that balance would be like now with who I am now versus who I was then. And having that time away from it, working full time at a 9-to-5 job, like it made me appreciate what I had. Not that I didn't every day, but now even more, I value it. And doing what you love, if you're doing it right now, don't take it for granted ever, and treat every day like it's Monday.
Yeah.
You know?
Beautiful, dude.
So that's what I hope to achieve in the next year, is just being back full time.
I love that.
Because I'll be way happier. And good things happen when, you know, I'm able to create and be happy and I'm balanced. So
hell yeah, dude.
But yeah, that's that goal.
Love that. The second thing is and I'm not sure, I keep getting the same answer for this question, but I'd love to hear it from you. What are you willing to sacrifice to get that goal?
That I haven't sacrificed already?
Yeah.
To lose my arm, I'll give up like a toe.
There you go.
If it could be like physical or something.
So that's the answer that I keep getting is people say toes.
What do you want?
Just kidding.
I'd be like, tell me. What do I got to sell?
Yeah.
Like, what part of me do you need? You know, I'd say whatever I need to sacrifice to get to where I'm trying to go, but not compromising who I am.
Yeah.
Integrally. Like, I need to still be me.
Yeah.
And otherwise I'll lose myself on the way to getting where I'm going.
Sure.
So I've sacrificed a lot in the past. I know what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads you to great places and it makes you who you are, but there's ways to get there too now. Also, just being a 30-year-old man versus a 15-year-old man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you didn't have to do that, dude. You didn't have to, you probably could have got away with not doing it that way.
Sure.
Try it this way. There's a smarter way, but yeah, whatever. Like, I mean, I've given, and I will continue to give music everything I have, you know, as much as I possibly can to it, because it's given me so much back.
Yeah.
And I want to contribute to it the way it's contributed in my life. So, yeah.
That's sweet, man. And you kind of answered the third question, but I'll ask it anyway. What are you not willing to sacrifice to get there?
Yeah, I guess if it was taking away more than it was giving, even though it wouldn't ever do that, it's just my mentality of it.
Yeah.
Like say it was really making me happy. For me to walk away from it, I don't think I ever could, because I feel like that's what I'm like called here to do.
Yeah.
And when I feel most at peace and just in the right place and at home. But if there was ever for me to put it down, I'd either have to like get shot in the ears or get my eyes gouged out, where I physically like, take my hands away. I'll still probably find a way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm sure I would.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, if it was taking more than it was giving, then I'd say I'd have to walk away, but it's never done that. So I don't know. Like, I just love it so much. It's why I wake up in the morning, and that's why I'm one of the reasons why I'm here. And
Yeah.
I want to continue to do it until the day I die, and never want to retire. I want to keep getting better, and
Yeah.
that's really what it is for me.
Amazing, man. Well, hey, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to come and do this.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, and I hope you keep on that steady grind, because I feel like you're gonna blow up for sure. So.
Oh, thanks, man. I hope you're right. I really do.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that, man. And like,
Absolutely.
yeah, watching you is inspiring too, brother.
Thanks,
and
dude.
And I'm not just saying that. I really mean it. And it's genuine. And you have so much respect for me. And I appreciate this, opportunity just to talk about stuff, just because I don't really get to.
Yeah.
Like, again, as men, it's kind of like, all right, just bite your lip and keep moving.
Yeah.
And this is cool. It's awesome. And I just, again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk about, the album, and also just, life.
For sure, bro. Awesome. Well, thank you. Plug real quick your stuff.
Oh, FourGiants Official on Insta. If you search FourGiants on Spotify, the album's called Ill Intentions, just dropped. And I'd appreciate it if you check that out. Also, my personal pop page, or like my songwriter project, is just Stephen K on Spotify as well.
Dope.
And
cool. And I'll put all the links in the description if you're watching on YouTube too. Spotify, I'm not sure if I can do that, but I think I can, right?
On Spotify? Yeah. Absolutely.
And Instagram and Apple Apple Podcasts.
Sure. I only listen to podcasts on Spotify now, so
okay.
I'm not familiar with Apple, but Spotify for sure.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll link it all down below. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, no problem.
Sweet.
Thank you.